Good afternoon, everybody. Tim here at T3 doing the afternoon recap for you. Thursday the 17th afternoon, looking at about 7 minutes after the market closed here. Scott Redler and Mark Sperling, I believe they're out at the Traders Expo, which is out in Vegas. So if you're anywhere near Vegas, make sure you swing by and visit the guys over at the booth. Sounds like a good time out there in Vegas for them. So I'll fill in here for Scott here. We'll talk about the markets in the recap. Big down day in the markets here. Let's get right to it. Take a quick look at the SPYs. I would have to say the most significant thing, so far as a recap goes, overall with the markets today is that we broke these inflection points, and I drew a couple of rays here real quick on the SPYs. The S&P closed below 1225. I mean, the Dow ended up just down 130. We were down 200. Little bit of a snap back at the very end of the day, but overall we're closing below key levels. If you look at the SPYs here, back below the 50-day, you look at basically any market index here. You take a look at the Qs coming right up on the 200-day through the 50-day today. Another inflection point broken there. Where you had these wedges that have been building, and you know what happens when you get to these inflection points. You usually break one way or the other, and when you do break, it's usually pretty sharp, and I feel pretty much that's what we had today. That's the kind of day that we had. You look at things like it was like sell everything today, right? You had gold breaking down as well, despite any kind of fundamental reason that it should go up. Back over to the Dow and whatnot. Key levels being broken here, so let's see what happens. Definitely a difficult night to go home long. I'm not suggesting that you go home short and whatnot, but we definitely broke down here today. So should be interesting. We got a Friday in front of the weekend and then a shortened holiday week next week. Should be interesting to see what ends up happening here and whatnot, with tomorrow. If we have a gap down, we are short-term oversold. Definitely take trades there if you're short overnight into this thing. The one thing that I have noticed in the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm not really a high beta guy. I trade the financials a lot. And I'll tell you, Goldman through 98 yesterday really, really told you something. And that kind of wrote the theme, I thought, pretty much for the last 2 days. If you recall, and I'm looking at a 2-day chart of Goldman here, yesterday it got through this 98 level right around here. Earlier on in the day, when it broke this level here, the SPYs were making new highs. To me, that's a screaming short indicator right there. If you look at the SPYs at that, what exactly time was that we went through 98 here? This was at right around 9:45 or so, closer to 10. And if you look at those times yesterday, we were, do I have bad data here? I think I do. Thursday. Yeah, I'm missing data here. Gosh darn it, that's a bad 3-day. But at any rate, yesterday when Goldman broke that 98 level, the SPYs were making new highs. So when they failed those new highs, Goldman came off. And you'd have to say there's been a working seller across the board in these financials for the last few days. So, I was surprised this morning, when I was looking at the Dow before we fell 200 points. I was surprised that we were unched or only down 25 points because if you recall, all the financials were down this morning. So, I'm a firm believer the market's not going anywhere without them. And, let's see what happens with these bank stocks. You have things like Jefferies, which, by the way, had a big reversal at the end of the day. It almost went positive. They brought it all the way up to 10, whatever, 20 or whatever, squeezed me out, and I put it back on, traded it a little bit at the end of the day there. But at any rate, making multi-year lows. I think these are lows from back in 08. We're coming up on, it was down as low as $8 back in the February 09 lows back there. So let's see what happens. Keep these things on your radar. I like them. They're tradable. They're trending. So far as, Nasdaq and high beta goes, the Nasdaq broke that level today. Taking a quick look at some stocks over there. I know I was trading GMCR earlier today. Amazon broke down today. Looking at GMCR from a first day down perspective, everybody jumping up on it short this morning. Kind of had a little bit of a, downward doji here at the end of the day here. It has that gap in the middle here between whatever, this 47. I remember I was short at this day and I was wrong. 47 quarter all the way up to 48 quarter or so. There's that gap there, first day down. Keep that on the radar. It does tend to get squeezed and whatnot, but that's one high beta stock I noticed today. Taking a quick look at Apple. Apple's starting to break down. Made a lower low here on the daily. So should be interesting to see what happens there. Definitely interested to see how this year ends up going out. We're starting to break down. We broke down inflection points. So that's about it, guys. That's all I really have to say today. So far as a recap, this really isn't my forte. I'm usually here with On the Wire. And by the way, I've been off the desk just on a quick side note. And I'll be back full force after my test. I'm taking a principal's exam on Monday. And I'll be back in after Tuesday with On the Wire. And we'll get back to our regular routine. All right, guys? So for everybody who's out there in Vegas, have a great time, guys. Tim at T3. I'll see you tomorrow in the virtual trading room. Have a great night, and we'll look forward to picking it up in the AM. Okay, guys, have a good night.